Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we are here to do the top 13 horror movies in my collection. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, so the top 13 horror movies in my collection. Honestly, this is such a hard list to do because it's hard to cut anything out. It's like picking between your children. But I figured I did the 10 worst movies in my collection, so it was only fair that I do the best horror movies in my collection. Now, this is totally subjective. These are my favorites. The list is going to have some surprises with the rankings because I am going to rank them. But you know, I don't know. It's always open for debate. It's a lot of fun to talk about these, and hell, let's get to it. My top 13, and to be honest, depends on when you talk to me and how I'm feeling that day. And sometimes is whether these would be all the same top 13 all the time, or a different order. But let's go for it. Coming in at number 13 is an absolute classic, Stanley Kubrick, Stephen King, The Shining. I absolutely love The Shining. I love slow burn. I love like scary kind of atmospheric vibes. This one has it. The isolation in this alone. Now, Stephen King famously hated this movie. He said the movie was cold, the book is hot. This is one of those rare occasions where I actually really like both. I actually really like the movie, and I really like the book. The performances in the movie, though, just kind of overshadow some of the stuff in the book, but the book allows for you to spiral onward, and that kind of makes me think, if you guys didn't check out my review on the new Salem's Lot movie, I've got a lot of people that keep saying, oh, well, it's the most horrible thing ever because they had to cut out stuff. It's not like the book. It's not like the original movie. Understand that whenever they adapt a book to make a movie, almost no one's ever going to be happy because there are as many different versions of every character, of every situation, every setting, everything in that book as there are people who read the book, because you supply through the description, each person supplies their own images using their own imagination. And when it doesn't fit what they imagine, it kind of conflicts with them. And then the same thing in the case of Salem's Lot, you have that problem. Then you have the problem of people comparing it to an existing movie that was not a movie, but a mini series. So if you go in there expecting a feature film to cover as many things as they can in a mini series, you're setting yourself up for disappointment at that point. So I just try to evaluate that movie or any movie separate from the books or separate from anything else that came before. So in this, I like the book and the movie. It has to be on my top 13 list. Great 4K, absolute classic, The Shining. Coming in at number 12, a lot of you are about to get pissed off, but this is my favorite Friday the 13th movie, so it has to be on the list. I'm talking about Friday the 13th, 2009. Now, this is considered a remake by some people. I consider it a direct sequel to the first two movies. Now, some people say the first three, but he actually finds the hockey mask in this, and he finds it in part 3 of the original. So I consider this a direct sequel almost to the first two, because they reference the first two films in this movie. And for everyone who said that they hated this movie and that it stinks, it's already out of print with Arrow, and Arrow has said they are not making any more of these. I don't know if it's some kind of licensing thing or whatever, but whatever is out there that you can find, That's all there is until it goes on to a secondary market. So right now, you better get this if you want it, if you can find it out there. At the time of this recording, I think MVD and Grindhouse maybe had a few left. Orbit doesn't have any more. Diabolic, I don't think, has any more. There's a few left if it'll still let you add it to your cart on Amazon, but they were like $50 and they're coming from another seller. So this is one of my favorites, and it is my favorite Friday the 13th movie. If you want to see my full rankings of Friday the 13th, that video is on here as well. Check my videos for that. I'm going to be ranking the Nightmare on Elm Street movies and the Halloween movies for spooky season. So those are coming up. But Friday the 13th, 2009, great 4K here. Lots of extras. I love Padalecki as the lead in here. I like Derek Mears a lot personally, and I like him as Jason. Very violent, very big, very strong. I have a couple complaints with the movie, but overall, love it. Friday the 13th, 2009 comes in at number 12. At number 11 on my list is one of the classic atmosphere. You guys know I love atmosphere. You know I love creepy, small town atmosphere horror. That's one of my favorite videos that I've done. I kind of want to do a sequel to that one. This one is the one that kind of paves the way for a lot of those in a lot of ways. I am talking about The Fog. No way I could do a favorite horror movies list and not have The Fog on the list. Got this great slip box from Blockbuster Box Sets. No, he does not pay me. But great steelbook here, and classic ghost story at small town atmosphere. You got Jamie Lee Curtis in here. You got Adrienne Barbeau in here. With you guys know one of my favorite tropes in a horror movie is the late night FM DJ kind of narrating the thing. I love that. I grew up listening to like late night DJs on here in Georgia on Country Gold Saturday night. I listened to Delilah. She was famous back in the day. Lots of late night DJs, and that just sticks for me. I think it fits with horror so good, sets a tone. This movie is classic ghost story. Tom Atkins, man, slinging dick around, right, Fuzz? I love The Fog. It comes in at number 13, 12, at number 11. At number 10 is, depending on what day you ask me, my favorite werewolf movie of all time. We're going Stephen King again with Silver Bullet. Silver Bullet gives you great werewolf story. You've got Corey Haim in here. You've got Gary Busey playing his cool-ass uncle who has his own issues. But you've got this small-town atmosphere vibe again. Stephen King and John Carpenter do the small-town atmosphere vibe better than anyone. I love this movie. The werewolf stuff is good. And I mean, this thing gets dark. I think this is based on the short story Cycle of the Werewolf or something like that. I can't remember. But man, you got Corey Haim is handicapped. He's riding around on his motorcycle slash, wheelchair. The werewolf stuff in this is really good, and it gets more and more and more violent as things go. There is a scene in here that is pure nightmare fuel in the church when all of the townspeople start to turn into werewolves. And why I say it's nightmare fuel is back when I was a kid and I saw this when it came out, and I saw this right when it came out. Like literally I had a dream that I was stuck inside of a building and everybody was turning into werewolves. I love werewolf movies. Given the day that you ask me, this one is usually at the top, but I love American Werewolf in London. I friggin' love Dog Soldiers. But Silver Bullet gets the nod here and comes in cracking the top 10 on our list. At number 9 is another one I've talked about a lot. One of my favorite vampire movies of all time. Has that idyllic, like, small town, kind of like suburban feel to it. It adds a realism. It gives a nod back to older horror movies. It scared the shit out of me when I was a kid because of the artwork. I am talking about Fright Night. Fright Night for real, y'all. So this movie, Chris Sarandon is Jerry Dandridge in this movie. Great, scary, but like sophisticated and kind of funny too at the same time. I mean, there is nothing that I don't love about this movie. Great practical effects in this movie. And I'm telling y'all, this right here, when I was a kid, when this came out, I remember not wanting my brother to rent it because that scared the crap out of me. Her face, I mean, it's like she looks like an evil Pez dispenser, like a vampire Pez dispenser that could bite your head clean off. I love the movie. Great performances in this movie. I recently, just for the first time ever, a couple of nights ago, watched the remake with Colin Farrell. And I was messaging my man Daniel at the Cobwebs channel about that because I know this is like his favorite movie of all time. But he actually saw the remake first. And I was messaging with him about it. And I think what the remake is actually, it's probably better than it should be. Like, it doesn't hold a candle to this one in any way. Colin Farrell's performance, the way they wrote that, is kind of odd. The movie's written by Marty Noxon, who used to write on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show. And it's so weird because she didn't make his Jerry Dandridge anywhere near like the original or like the vampires that she wrote on Buffy and Angel. But I do think it's a pretty good movie. But it exchanges, there's something about this movie where you're in the safe, cozy suburbs and you've got these nice, beautiful neighborhood streets and all this stuff. It's very cozy and comfortable, and they trade that for like this cold, detached city feel with like tract homes and all that, and it just kind of loses something in that translation to me. Plus, they try to use too much CGI. But I love this one. It has to come in on my list, and it comes in here at 13, 12, 11, 10, at 9. Number 8 on my list is a classic. It's a movie that my family connects with because of personal experiences. I remember, I didn't see this one when it came out. This one was like right around when I was born. But this is the haunted house movie to me to end all haunted house movies. The most iconic one ever, the Amityville Horror. It is one that I'm going to go back to. Now, it's one, interestingly, after my family had their own experiences with things. My dad would never watch this movie again. Not ever. Not ever. And he wouldn't watch a lot of haunted house movies, even though he was a huge horror movie fan. But haunted house is one of my favorite genres. I am working on that video right now. It's one of the ones I lost and I'm going to have to redo because of the loss of power and stuff from the hurricane. But Amityville Horror, absolute classic, based on a true story. Now, however much of that you want to believe is true or whatever, that's on you. This is an amazing 4K here from Vinegar Syndrome. I'm talking reference quality, perfect 4K here. And I absolutely love it. I think it's quintessential. I think you have to have people say that it's slow. People want to compare things to now, to then. I like the fact that there's not a bunch of CGI. I like the fact that they leave things open to your imagination. There's a lot of stuff here. Very creepy, very scary. I love the Amityville Horror. It comes in on my top 13 list here. Coming in at number 7, some of you are going to be surprised to see this one this low, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you this is the only one that I am picking to represent this franchise, and I'm talking about Carpenter's classic Halloween. This is a great movie. Is it actually the start of the slasher genre? No, I don't think so. I think there's some other movies that came before it. But the way this movie sets things up, it's like there were sports movies that came before Rocky, but every movie that came after Rocky, every sports movie that came after Rocky basically adopted that format and followed that same script. Karate Kid is just another story of Rocky, has the same director. But Halloween is a classic. It gives me fall vibes, which is weird because I know the story of it. I know it wasn't really fall. I know it was in Pasadena. I know they're having to rake up and rethrow leaves everywhere. But it is just a classic. It has to be on your list. Like, because of what it means to the genre, if nothing else. Now, on a given day, I may enjoy a different one of these more than the other, but for representing Halloween on my top horror movies of all time list, it has to be the original. I will be doing a full ranking, so I'm not going to spoil any more, but Halloween comes in on my list. Next up on the list is probably my favorite vampire movie of all time. And I believe I did that list, but this one screams 80s in every good way. I grew up on this. I saw it at the theater. I saw it renting it a million times since then. I own like 4 different versions of this. There's still like I think it's a Cinemuseum set or another set out there somewhere that I'm trying to get. But I am talking about The Lost Boys. Dude, it's everything I love. This is 80s vampires. I love Kiefer Sutherland in here as a vampire. The 2 Coreys. You've got comedy. You've got action. Again, you've got kind of a small town, creepy atmosphere. They moved to this small town, Santa Clara. You've got a banging soundtrack. The vampires terrified me in here. There are some very scary moments. I've talked about the part where they eat up those kids at the bonfire and rip them apart and throw them on the fire. That's pretty serious. I think the vampires look cool, scary, very 80s punk rock shit. There is nothing that you cannot love about The Lost Boys, and it has to make a list of my favorite horror movies. And here it comes in at what? 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, at number 6. You guys can tell I didn't write this down. All right. We are in the top 5, and we got a classic here. It coined the term, popularized the term blockbuster. Brian, at the last movie standing, this one's for you, buddy. Jaws. I mean, Jaws, a lot of people don't think of it as a horror movie. It's 100% a horror movie. Jaws might as well be a slasher. Like, if he was anything other than an animal, because it's a creature feature, if he was anything other than an animal, it would be a slasher. He has his own theme music, just like Michael Myers or Jason coming to get you. So you know when he's there or lurking because of his theme music. He is stalking and killing people. He is after these specific people. It is a slasher film. And the biggest difference is, like, he's an animal and he's an animal monster. So it's a creature feature. Absolute classic. Everything about this movie is spot on. There is a reason that it popularized the term blockbuster, because nobody had seen anything like it. Some of the most epic kills in a horror movie ever. The first kill, Captain Quint dying. Lots of stuff in here, absolutely brutal, and it's just a masterclass in building tension, and Jaws comes in at number 5 on my list. At number 4 on this list, you're going to be surprised maybe to see this one this low, but if you take into account everything, this isn't just like the best made or the best whatever. This is how I feel about the movies too, how I personally like them. So a lot of people may have this higher. I think when I was trying to objectively rank horror movies, this one might have been number 1. But here, on a subjective list, The Thing comes in at number 4 on the list. I think this is John Carpenter's best film. Um, Halloween may be the most famous. I think from a filmmaking standpoint and everything that happened, The Thing is his best film. I had a naked 4K. I don't like naked 4Ks, so I bought it some clothes. I'm gonna have a shirt made about naked discs, but got this awesome one from Blockbuster Box Sets. Ordered a long time ago, and his pre-orders got here. Great work. But what can you say about this movie? I think it is. You talk about a masterclass, and the practical effects on this, second to none. The whole defibrillator scene where the guy gets his arms bit off, not knowing who done it. Plus, Kurt Russell is one of my favorite actors of all time. The Thing has to come in on my list. It comes in at number 4. All right, coming in at number 3, I do not have my 4K yet. This one is the one that is representing this franchise. This is the first horror movie I actually recall seeing. Like, this is the first one that I recall seeing, and that's why it's this high. And I'm going to do my rankings of these movies here very soon, but I am talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street. I was like 5 or 6, maybe. This hit the movie rental stores. My brother got it. This is the first one that I remember seeing, and so it holds a special place in my heart. I love Freddy's wisecracking ass, but this one is the scarier and darker. You want to talk about best kills of all time? This has 2 of them as well. Johnny Depp getting pulled down and turned into juice, basically getting pulled down into his bed, and then Tina getting killed and rolling up onto the ceiling and everything. This movie is absolutely iconic. I cannot wait to get my 4Ks that I ordered a long time ago. I cannot wait. I am hoping that all of this discussion that Arrow Video is doing with New Line on some of their Friday the 13th movies, like 2009, Jason Goes to Hell, all that kind of stuff, maybe that will lead to us getting a 4K box set of Nightmare on Elm Street. That would be awesome. Iconic film, iconic franchise, comes in at number 3 on my list. At number 2 on my list, a lot of you are going to be shocked to see this movie this high. It is one of my favorite horror movies, period. It's never gotten the love that it deserves. It is getting a 4K. I thought it deserved a chunky box, but I am talking about Trick or Treat. I think this is a perfect anthology, and it has all of the Halloween vibes. So and the fact that my film Creature Feature, that Dread Central compared in any pale imitation sort of way to Trick or Treat and Creepshow, just like it is article clippings I will keep for the rest of my life. But Trick or Treat does everything. Like, it has all the Halloween vibes. It's got a hell of a good twist on a Little Red Riding Hood werewolf sequence. Holy shit. I love the little old school rules of Halloween that it establishes. There is nothing I don't like about this movie other than the fact that it never got the love that it should, or that it hasn't gotten a sequel. Because holy shit, this needs a sequel. Whoever's out there, give it to me. I will write the sequel. I will film it. This movie needs a sequel. I love it a lot. A lot. Probably way more than a lot of people, maybe. I don't care. This one just tags all the right buttons for me. Trick or Treat. I cannot wait to get the 4K of this. You guys will get sick of hearing me talk about the 4K probably when it gets here. But I absolutely love this movie. Comes in at number 2 for me. Now, you might be asking, what the hell is number 1? This movie has a place in my heart. It has all of the small town, creepy atmosphere vibes, a slow burning mystery that lets atmosphere wash over you. It has an iconic villain. It has a book that I read or listen to every single year, at least once. I am talking about the original It. The ending, they did all they could with the ending. Stephen King himself is not the best with endings. But the way this movie, and if you ever read the Dark Tower series, talk about a series that needs to be done and done the correct way, because the movie is not representative of that series. You ever read the Dark Tower series? You ever read The Stand? All of his movies are connected in the same universe, and they are connected. So there's stuff that happens in every movie that connects into other movies, and there's this whole big like master plan at work. I love that kind of shit. A big overall heaven and hell, interdimensional, demons, good versus light, God versus the devil, anti-heroes standing up when other people won't. Like, and it just encapitalizes it all for me. And then, of course, it has the small town horror, the small town vibes. Tim Curry, a hell of a performance. I think this blows away the remakes. I really did enjoy It Chapter 1 remake because it went back to the 80s and they did it really well. But they got too over-reliant on CGI, especially with part It Chapter 2, which I think is not good at all. And the ending is not good. I would have, in the book, he can change into anybody's deepest, darkest fears. I would have done that at the end, had him transform into everyone's different, whether it's werewolf for Richie. I mean, hell, in the book, he turns into Jaws, too. So, I would have done that. I would have had him transform and fight them in the different guises instead of turning into the big Lovecraftian like spider with a weird little head. But back in 1989, when they were filming this, as it came out in 90, they did all they could do with the ending. I actually prefer the old school shadows on the wall, like of what's happening to the new ending. I love leaving some stuff up to your imagination. And it's not about the ending. It's not about the destination on this. It's about the journey. It's about the ride and how it spirals out into others. This is one I can just put on and get total atmosphere, total vibes, total feels from. Absolutely love it. Don't care. It is that horror movie. It is comfort, cozy, the whole meaning and how it expands on everything. I encourage you to read or listen on Audible if you don't have time to read Stephen King books because they're long, but all of his books on Audible have hellaciously good performances on them. And you start to see how some of this is tied in. You even see Father Callahan from Salem's Lot in the Dark Tower series. And you get to see the flashbacks of the supernatural stuff that happened to him that is only referenced in Salem's Lot. So if you want to enrich your enjoyment of like other Stephen King books and films like Salem's Lot or, It, whatever, The Stand, listen to his books and listen to them tie in. Man, the Dark Tower series will tie a lot of them in for you. But this movie is my go-to. It came out when I was like 9 or 10 years old. I remember watching it, then watching it again and again and again and again. I really need at least a Blu-ray, the Blu-ray steelbook of this movie. I mean, the cast in this thing too, John Ritter. I absolutely loved John Ritter. I was a big Three's Company fan when I was a kid. If any of you are modern fans of Smallville, and Ed O'Toole, who played Martha Kent, is in this movie. So you will see some people you recognize. Of course, Jonathan Brandis, Seth Green when they're younger. You have the young girl who plays Beverly Marsh, grew up and played in Ginger Snaps. So you have a lot in here. I love this movie. Make sure you check it out. It comes in at number 1 on my list. So there you go. There are the my 13 best favorite horror movies in my collection. I'm going to do a full horror movie collection video coming up soon where I go through every horror movie in my collection. I've had a bunch of people asking me about that, so I'm going to work on that video. I have my Halloween focused movies video coming up. I have my best haunted house movies of all time video coming up. I got some reviews coming up. The Wolfman 2010 4K blew me away. And I got a lot of thoughts on that. So a lot of stuff coming here. We're still spooky season focused right now, but that's through the end of the month, and I'm enjoying Halloween time, spooky season time. It's finally getting cool here in Georgia, and I just love hanging out with you guys. I am coming up on 5,000 subscribers. I'm about 200 away at the time of this recording. When I get to 5,000, I'm going to announce a scheduled live stream, a big live stream, where I'm going to do some big giveaways of stuff I've been holding on to since before my buying freeze. The giveaway to you guys as a big thank you. We're going to figure out how we're going to do that and get that live stream scheduled. You guys can talk, we can chat, go over anything, and we'll just have a blast with it. And if you enjoyed this content, you want to see some more, check out my other videos, please like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Ring the bell so you don't miss anything. Share it out there. Let's get to 5,000 and beyond. And if you want to help support the channel even more, you can join at my Patreon down below or right here on YouTube. Become a channel member, a couple dollars a month. Really does help me out, even $1 or $2. Like, it just adds up over time. And really helps. Everything goes back into this channel or to where I can do this all the time and hang out with you guys. And I really do appreciate it. And until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye now.